The stars glittered like scattered gems against the void as Lieutenant Kelly Morgan stood at her post outside the diplomatic chambers. Her uniform bore the insignia of the Terran Defense Force, though here on Station Nexus she represented all of humanity. The massive space station served as neutral ground between species, a place where treaties were formed and conflicts resolved. Kelly had been assigned to protect the human delegation during negotiations with the Valkyrie, a towering insectoid race with translucent wings and chitinous armor. The Valkyrie Queen Zyvex was an imposing figure, nearly 8 feet tall with iridescent purple carapace and 4 arms each ending in delicate fingers. Kelly had been warned not to make direct eye contact with the Queen, as it was considered a challenge in Valkyrie culture. Human, you are smaller than the others. Queen Zyvex chittered, her mandibles clicking softly as she passed by Kelly's post. Are all your kind so diminutive? Kelly maintained her professional stance, eyes forward. I am average height for a human female, Your Majesty. The Queen made a sound that might have been laughter. How curious that such small creatures have claimed so many stars. She continued into the chamber where Ambassador Harris waited. Station Nexus orbited a binary star system at the edge of disputed territory. Humans were newcomers to interstellar politics, having achieved faster-than-light travel only 70 years ago. The Valkyrie Empire had existed for millennia spread. Across thousands of worlds they viewed humans with a mixture of curiosity and dismissal. Kelly stood guard. Her enhanced neural implant monitored the station security feeds. Something caught her attention: unauthorized movement in the maintenance tunnels. She tapped her communicator. Lieutenant Morgan to security. Possible intrusion in Section 7. Static answered her. The station suddenly shuddered beneath her feet. Emergency lights flashed and alarms wailed. The doors to the diplomatic chamber slid open. Ambassador Harris emerged, his face pale. Kelly, we need to evacuate. The station has been compromised. Kelly nodded, drawing her pulse pistol and scanning the corridor. 3 other security personnel joined them, forming a protective detail around the human delegation. Explosions rocked the station and smoke filled the hallways. Kelly led the group toward the evacuation pods, her training taking over. Ahead of them, a section of ceiling collapsed, blocking their path. This way, Kelly directed them down an alternative route. They passed frightened station personnel and representatives from a dozen alien species, all rushing toward escape pods. Another explosion closer. This time, Kelly felt the heat against her face as she shielded the ambassador. The station is breaking apart, she realized. We need to move faster. They turned a corner and found themselves face to face with Queen Zyvex and her royal guard. The Queen's wings vibrated with agitation. Your kind did this, she accused, her voice sharp. With anger, Sabotage Ambassador Harris stepped forward. Your Majesty, I assure you, humans had nothing to do with this attack. We must evacuate immediately. The Queen hissed, her guard raising weapons. Kelly moved instinctively, placing herself between the ambassador and the angry aliens. The station rocked again, more violently. Structural supports groaned and emergency bulkheads began to seal. We don't have time for this, Kelly said. Her neural implant flashed warnings about catastrophic failures. Throughout the station, Your Majesty, we can sort out blame after we survive. A moment of tension passed before the Queen lowered her upper arms. Very well, human, lead the way. Kelly guided the combined group through increasingly damaged sections of the station. Her implant mapped alternative routes as passages became blocked by debris. They passed bodies of station personnel who hadn't been fast enough to escape. The evacuation bay came into view, but as they approached, a final explosion tore through the station. Kelly was thrown against a wall, pain lancing through her side. When she regained her footing, she saw the horror. Their escape route was gone. The pods have launched, Ambassador Harris said, his voice hollow. We're stranded. Kelly ran a systems check through her implant. There was one option left, but it was desperate. The maintenance shuttle in Bay 12 might still be operational. This way, she ordered, taking the lead again. The group followed her through narrow maintenance tunnels. Parts of the station were now open to space, sealed off by emergency force fields that flickered ominously. When they reached Bay 12, Kelly found the small maintenance shuttle untouched. It was designed for external repairs, not evacuation. It won't fit everyone. Ambassador Harris said, looking at the combined human and Valkyrie delegations. Queen Zyvex stepped forward. "We will not abandon our guards," Kelly made a quick calculation. The shuttle could hold 8, maybe 10 if they crowded. There were 15 in their combined group. The station would not last another hour. "Ambassador, the shuttle needs a pilot," she said. "You take our people and 4 of the Valkyrie. I will remain with the others and look for another way out." The ambassador started to protest, but Kelly cut him off. "This isn't a discussion, sir, it's protocol. The mission comes first." As the chosen evacuees boarded the shuttle, Kelly locked eyes with Queen Zyvex despite protocol. The Valkyrie Queen seemed to study her with new interest. "You would stay behind with my people," she said, her voice softer than before. "I would, Your Majesty," Kelly replied. "That is my duty." Something shifted in the Queen's compound eyes. "They will remember your courage, human." The shuttle departed, leaving Kelly with 2 human security officers and 3 Valkyrie guards, including the Queen's personal bodyguard. The station continued to break apart around them. Kelly checked her implant again, searching for any other escape routes. There was a maintenance airlock, 2 levels down, with emergency survival suits. "This isn't over," she told the remaining group. "Follow me." The royal chamber aboard the Valkyrie warship Eternal Dominion hummed with activity. Kelly sat at a massive crystalline table surrounded by Valkyrie military commanders and royal advisors. She felt small among them, but refused to show intimidation. Queen Zyvex presided at the head of the table. Her 4 arms arranged in a formal posture that Kelly had learned indicated serious deliberation. "Lieutenant Morgan," the Queen began, "you have seen the evidence we collected from the station debris. What are your conclusions?" Kelly took a deep breath. The past 3 days aboard the Valkyrie ship had been intense. The Queen had unexpectedly appointed her as a special advisor, granting her access to intelligence reports and debris analysis. The explosive devices were of Meridian manufacture, she stated, referring to another spacefaring species known for their advanced technology. But the detonation pattern suggests whoever planted them had intimate knowledge of station systems, including access to secure areas and uncomfortable chittering spread through the assembled Valkyrie. They had reached the same conclusion. Someone with high-level access had sabotaged the peace talks. Trizac, who had become something of an ally to Kelly, spoke up. "This suggests infiltration at the highest levels, possibly in both our delegations." Kelly nodded. "But the question remains, why would the Meridians benefit from conflict between humans and Valkyrie?" The Queen's antennae twitched, a sign of contemplation. "The Meridian Collective has been expanding their territory along our shared border. They have always been cautious of direct confrontation. If we went to war with each other," Kelly continued, "their path would be clear. The Terran Alliance and Valkyrie Empire would be too occupied fighting each other to notice Meridian expansion." A grizzled Valkyrie commander slammed his chitinous fist on the table. "We should strike now. Bring our full might against these deceivers." Kelly raised her hand, surprising everyone with her boldness. "With respect, Commander, that reaction is exactly what they want. Escalation plays into their strategy." The commander's mandibles clicked in agitation. "You would have us do nothing human?" "Not nothing," Kelly replied, her voice steady. "Strategic response rather than emotional reaction. The Meridians expect us to blame each other. We should instead present a united front, Queen." Zyvex studied Kelly with her multifaceted eyes. "For days you have shared our ship, eaten our food, studied our evidence, yet you show no fear among predators who have historically viewed your kind as prey. Why? Because fear doesn't help us solve this problem." "Your Majesty," Kelly answered honestly, "and because in the vacuum of space we survive together. That changes perspective." The Queen rose to her impressive height. Silencing the room, "Lieutenant Morgan will accompany me to the private council chamber. The rest of you continue analyzing the wreckage patterns." Kelly followed the Queen through ornate corridors, the walls inscribed with Valkyrie military victories, some depicting battles against early human colonies. Kelly kept her expression neutral. In the private chamber, the Queen seemed different. Her rigid posture relaxed slightly, and she gestured for Kelly to sit on a cushioned "Bench, you speak with unusual directness, human," the Queen observed. Almost like a Valkyrie, Kelly smiled slightly. "We have a saying on Earth that desperate times call for desperate measures. The destruction of Station Nexus and the deaths of so many diplomats qualifies." The Queen made a sound Kelly had come to recognize as thoughtful agreement. "But now I face a dilemma. You have proven yourself honorable, yet my military advisors counsel against trusting any human with our next moves." Kelly met the Queen's gaze directly. "Trust is earned." "Your Majesty, on both sides, I don't expect you to share classified information, but I do believe cooperation serves both our species better than suspicion." The Queen moved to a wall panel, activating a holographic display. A star map appeared showing Valkyrie, Terran, and Meridian territories. 3 days ago, we detected unusual movement in the Meridian fleet. Their warships are gathering at these coordinates. She pointed to a cluster of stars near human space. They appear to be preparing for something significant. Kelly studied the map. "Why show me this?" The Queen turned her alien face unreadable by human standards. "Because, Lieutenant Morgan, I believe you when you suggest a united response. And because my advisors are wrong, I need someone who thinks differently." Kelly stood walking closer to the holographic display. The positioning suggested the Meridians were planning something big, possibly counting on chaos, following the station destruction. "Your Majesty, I understand their strategy." Kelly said the station attack was meant to look like either humans or Valkyrie were responsible. "While we're busy accusing each other, they launch their real offensive. And what would you propose?" the Queen asked. "Contact Earth." Immediately, Kelly said, "We need to warn both our governments. Together we can position defensive forces to counter whatever they're planning. A joint fleet would send a powerful message." The Queen considered this. It would be unprecedented. Valkyrie and human ships fighting side by side. Kelly nodded. "So was sitting at your war council, Your Majesty. Sometimes unprecedented is necessary." A chime sounded and Trizak entered the chamber, bowing deeply. "My Queen, urgent news from our border outposts, the Meridians, have launched attacks against both Valkyrie and Terran colonies. Their fleet has divided, targeting multiple systems simultaneously." The Queen turned to Kelly, her wings flaring with anger. "It seems your assessment was correct. They sought to divide us before striking." Kelly felt cold dread. "Our colonies are lightly defended. They won't stand against a full Meridian assault." For a moment the chamber was silent. Then the Queen made a decisive gesture. "Lieutenant Morgan, I am granting you emergency diplomatic authority. I will commit 3 battle groups to defend your border colonies in exchange for human support of our outer territories." Kelly blinked, surprised at the sudden trust placed in her. Such a decision would normally require months of negotiation and committee approvals. "I accept, Your Majesty," she said formally. "But my authority is limited." The Queen made a dismissive gesture. "I have already sent communication to your government, explaining the situation and your role in uncovering it. Ambassador, Harris supports this alliance." Kelly felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. Human lives would depend on her decisions. Valkyrie forces responding to her direction was unimaginable just days ago. Together they returned to the War Council, where the Queen announced their decision. Some commanders chittered in protest, but most recognized the strategic necessity. Kelly found herself at a command console coordinating with human defense forces. Trizak stood beside her, providing insights on Valkyrie battle tactics and capabilities. The massive warship hummed as it prepared for faster-than-light jump. Kelly watched the crew working with precision and discipline so different from human ships, yet familiar in their purpose. "This is just the beginning," Trizak said quietly. "The Meridians have planned this for a long time." Kelly nodded grimly, watching as the stars on the tactical display blinked with distress signals from attacked colonies. "Today we fight together. Tomorrow we build something new." The Queen gave the order and the ship leapt into FTL speed, rushing toward a battle that would forever change the relationship between their species. The remaining group moved quickly through the deteriorating station, led by Lieutenant Kelly Morgan. Her neural implant guided them through the maze of corridors, calculating structural integrity and oxygen levels. As they went, beside her walked Trizak, the Valkyrie Queen's personal bodyguard. His carapace gleamed dark blue in the emergency lighting, and his compound eyes constantly scanned for threats. The two human security officers, Samantha Wells and Olivia Carter, kept close formation behind them, while the other two Valkyrie guards brought up the rear. Another explosion rocked the station, throwing them against the walls. The metal beneath their feet groaned ominously. "Kelly, my implant shows this whole section becoming unstable," Samantha said, her voice tight. "We need to move faster." Kelly nodded, pushing forward. The maintenance airlock was just 2 more junctions ahead. The survival suits stored there were their only hope. As they rounded the corner, they encountered a collapsed section of ceiling. Kelly cursed under her breath. "We need to find another route." Trizak stepped forward, his powerful limbs easily moving the debris. "My queen would not abandon you after your sacrifice, human. I will not abandon you either." The gesture surprised Kelly. The Valkyrie were known for their rigid hierarchy and general disdain for other species, especially humans whom they considered primitive. They continued through the newly cleared path. The station's artificial gravity flickered, causing them to momentarily float before slamming back to the floor. One of the Valkyrie guards chittered nervously in their native language. Trizak responded sharply, silencing them. "What did they say?" Kelly asked as they pressed forward. "They question the wisdom of following a human to our deaths," Trizak replied bluntly. "I reminded them that courage is respected in all species." They reached the maintenance airlock. Kelly punched in her security code, and the door slid open, revealing a small chamber lined with emergency equipment, including 6 survival suits designed to withstand the vacuum of space. "These suits have limited propulsion," Kelly explained. "They can get us away from the station, but we will need to be picked up." Samantha checked the communication array. "Our distress beacon is functional, but in this debris field I can't guarantee anyone will hear it." The station shuddered again, more violently than before. Kelly's implant flashed urgent warnings. "We don't have a choice," Kelly said. "We're out of time. Everyone suit up." The survival suits were designed with human proportions in mind. The Valkyrie struggled to fit their larger forms and multiple limbs into the equipment. Kelly helped Trizak adjust his suit, ensuring the seals were secure, despite the poor fit. Just as they finished suiting up, a catastrophic breach tore through the adjacent section. Emergency bulkheads slammed shut around them, sealing them in the small maintenance room. Olivia checked the external sensors. "The station's breaking apart all around us. We need to go." Now Kelly nodded, leading them into the airlock. She looked at each member of their unlikely group. 5 survivors from 2 species who until recently had regarded each other with suspicion and distrust. Now their lives depended on cooperation. "Everyone stay together after we launch," she instructed. "The suits will automatically form a cluster to conserve power and heat." The airlock cycled open, exposing them to the vacuum of space. The dying station stretched, before them sections breaking apart in silent explosions. Against the backdrop of stars, the massive structure was both beautiful and terrifying in its destruction. They activated their suits' propulsion units, pushing away from the doomed station. The force of multiple explosions sent debris hurtling past them. Kelly watched as a piece of metal the size of a small shuttle tumbled by, missing them by mere meters. Their suits automatically linked, forming a tight cluster as they drifted away. From the station, Samantha activated the distress beacon, its signal pulsing into the void. "We have 6 hours of oxygen." Olivia reported, her voice coming through the suit's communication system. 6 hours to be rescued, or 6 hours to contemplate our deaths, Trizak said. There was no fear in his voice, only a calm acceptance that impressed Kelly. The station continued to break apart behind them, a monument to failed diplomacy and sabotage. Kelly wondered who was responsible. Were they caught in the crossfire of some larger conflict? Or was this attack specifically targeted at the peace negotiations? Hours passed in tense silence. The suit's temperature regulation systems worked overtime to keep them alive in the cold vacuum. The stars remained, indifferent to their plight, distant and eternal. Kelly checked on each member of their group regularly, ensuring everyone remained calm and focused. She shared water and oxygen when the Valkyrie suits showed signs of strain, their systems not perfectly compatible with the human technology. You are not what I expected, human Trizak said during their 4th hour adrift. His voice sounded different, more contemplative. The Queen's reports described humans as selfish and chaotic. Yet you risked your life, for others including your supposed enemies. Kelly managed a small smile inside her helmet. Not enemies. Trizak diplomatic partners. The Valkyrie made a sound that might have been laughter. In my 300 cycles, I have never known a diplomatic partner. To share their oxygen, a light appeared in the distance growing larger. Kelly held her breath, afraid to hope. Samantha's voice crackled through the comm system. Sensor contact approaching vessel IM, reading Valkyrie signatures. The ship that approached was sleek and predatory, its hull decorated with the royal insignia of the Valkyrie Empire. It dwarfed their small cluster of survival suits, a reminder of the power imbalance between their species. A tractor beam locked onto them, pulling them gently toward an open docking bay. As they were brought aboard, Kelly prepared herself for whatever came next. They were alive, but now they were also prisoners on a Valkyrie warship. The artificial gravity of the ship felt strange after hours of weightlessness. Kelly removed her helmet as the atmosphere normalized around them. Valkyrie crew members surrounded them, weapons ready. A familiar figure approached. Queen Zyvex herself had come to greet them. Her wings shimmered with authority as she regarded the survivors. The human lieutenant saved us, Your Majesty. Trizak reported, bowing deeply. She shared her oxygen when our suits failed. The Queen studied Kelly with her compound eyes. You continue to surprise me. Lieutenant Morgan. The ambassador spoke highly of your actions before we separated. Kelly stood at attention, Your Majesty. I was simply doing my duty. The Queen made a gesture Kelly didn't recognize, and the armed guards lowered their weapons. Perhaps Trizak is right. The Queen said there is more to humans than we understood. I would hear your thoughts on who might have wished to prevent our negotiations. Kelly blinked, surprised at being consulted. There are several possibilities, Your Majesty. None of them pleasant. The Queen nodded. Follow me, Lieutenant. We have much to discuss. As Kelly followed the Valkyrie Queen through the ship, she realized that tragedy had accomplished what diplomacy could not. A true dialogue between their species was beginning. 1 year later, Kelly stood on the observation deck of Harmony Station, the newly constructed diplomatic hub that replaced the destroyed Nexus Station. The massive structure orbited a neutral star at the intersection of Terran Valkyrie and Meridian. Space behind her stood Trizak, now her official security partner. Their unlikely friendship had become a symbol of the new alliance. The towering Valkyrie warrior wore ceremonial armor indicating his elevated status as a royal guard assigned to interspecies. Affairs today marks a significant milestone, Kelly said, watching as ships from 24 species approached the station for the signing of the Harmony Accords. Trizak made a sound of agreement. 15 cycles ago, I would have considered this impossible. Valkyrie sharing territory and defense responsibilities with humans, Kelly smiled. The Meridians miscalculated. They thought our differences would keep us apart. They never considered that crisis would reveal our common values. The door to the observation deck slid open. Ambassador Harris entered, followed by 2 aides. Kelly straightened to attention out of habit, though her role had evolved far beyond military protocol. Lieutenant Morgan, the ambassador, greeted her warmly, though she had not held that rank for months. Her new position as chief liaison carried diplomatic status equivalent to a flag officer. Everything is prepared for the ceremony. Kelly nodded. The Valkyrie delegation has arrived. Queen Zyvex will be here within the hour. The Meridian representatives are already in the quarantine chamber. Following their failed invasion attempt, the Meridian Collective had sued for peace. Their new government had denounced the previous leadership and sought to rebuild relations. Though trust remained fragile, the 3 species had found a path toward coexistence. Ambassador Harris looked out at the assembling ships. The Joint Defense Initiative ships look impressive, he commented. Kelly followed his gaze to where Terran and Valkyrie vessels patrolled, in formation. The sleek human ships looked diminutive beside the massive Valkyrie cruisers, yet they moved with coordinated precision, the result of months of joint training. Different but complementary, she said, echoing what had become the unofficial motto of the Alliance. The past year had seen remarkable developments. Human engineers had helped improve Valkyrie shield technology, while Valkyrie metallurgists had strengthened human hull designs. Trizak clicked his mandibles in amusement. The training exercises were difficult at first. Your captains were reluctant to follow Valkyrie battle formations, and your commanders found human improvisation chaotic. Kelly countered with a smile. Their friendly banter had become familiar over countless diplomatic missions. Ambassador Harris watched their interaction with approval. You two embody what we're trying to build here. A partnership that recognizes strengths rather than focusing on differences. The station announced the arrival of the Valkyrie Royal vessel. Kelly, Trizak, and the ambassador made their way to the grand reception hall. Through the viewports they watched as the enormous ship docked, its crystalline hull reflecting the light of the nearby Star Queen. Zyvex entered the hall with characteristic Valkyrie formality. Her royal guard preceded her. Their ceremonial weapons gleaming under diplomatic protocol. These weapons were purely symbolic. But Kelly knew from experience that Valkyrie symbols often had practical applications. Ambassador Harris bowed according to Valkyrie custom. Your Majesty, welcome to Harmony Station. The Queen acknowledged him with a gesture of her upper arms. Ambassador Harris, we are pleased to see this project reach completion. Her compound eyes turned to Kelly. Liaison Morgan, your contributions to the station design are evident. Kelly bowed deeply. Thank you, Your Majesty. The integration of Valkyrie architecture with human engineering presented challenges, but the results exceed expectations. The Queen made a sound of approval. You have learned our ways well. Human. She turned to Trizak Guardian. Your reports on security protocols were thorough as always. Trizak lowered his head in respect. My Queen, the station incorporates defensive systems from both our traditions. It is as you commanded, a fortress that appears as a beacon. The diplomatic reception proceeded with representatives from 20 allied species mingling in the Grand Hall. Kelly moved among them, facilitating conversations, translating cultural nuances, and building connections. Her unique position as someone who understood both human and Valkyrie perspectives made her invaluable. A young human diplomat approached her hesitantly. Liaison. Morgan, she corrected herself. Having difficulty explaining the concept of individual rights to the Valkyrie trade representative. Could you assist? Kelly nodded. Following the junior diplomat to where a frustrated Valkyrie stood, mandibles clicking in agitation. The problem, Lieutenant Natalie Banks explained, is that we can't agree on shipping regulations. The Valkyrie insist on holding ship captains personally responsible for crew actions. Kelly turned to the Valkyrie Trade Minister Exelon. I believe the confusion stems from different understandings of hierarchy, she said in flawless Valkyrie, clicking her tongue against her teeth to produce the correct inflections. In human vessels, captains have authority but not absolute control. Individual crew members maintain certain rights and responsibilities. The minister considered this. Such division of responsibility seems inefficient. Kelly smiled. In some ways, yes, but it also creates resilience. If every decision requires the captain, humans can adapt more quickly when leadership is compromised. The Valkyrie clicked thoughtfully. An interesting perspective. Perhaps a compromise where captains maintain oversight while individual specialists have defined autonomy. The young diplomat looked impressed as Kelly helped them draft agreeable terms. This was her daily work, now bridging worlds that had once been separated by mistrust. Later, as the formal signing ceremony approached, Kelly found a quiet moment with Trizak on a secluded balcony, overlooking the vast shipyard where joint fleet vessels were under construction. I received an interesting communication today, she told him. The Meridian representative requested a private meeting. He claims to have information about remaining hardline elements in their government. Trizak's antennae twitched with concern. A trap, perhaps? Kelly shrugged. Maybe. But it's also an opportunity. The peace is still fragile. Any intelligence could help stabilize relations. The Valkyrie warrior studied her. You have changed since we first met, human. You think more like a Valkyrie, considering threats before opportunities. Kelly laughed softly. And you, my friend, consider diplomatic solutions before military ones. Who has changed more? They both turned as a chime announced the imminent ceremony. Inside the Great Hall, delegates had taken their positions. Queen Zivex and President Carver of the Terran Alliance stood side by side before the assembled representatives. As Kelly and Trizac entered the hall, a young human girl approached them. Kelly recognized her as Maya, the child she had rescued from Proxima IV. The girl now served as a cultural ambassador chosen to represent the colony. World's liaison. Morgan Maya said formally, "I was asked to give you this." She handed Kelly a small crystalline object. Kelly examined it. Curiously, "It's beautiful." "What is it, a memory crystal?" Maya explained, "Carved by both human and Valkyrie artisans. It contains stories from survivors of the attacks, records of how we learned to work together." Kelly felt unexpected emotion tightening her throat. "Thank you, Maya. This means a great deal." The ceremony began with traditional acknowledgments from each species. Kelly stood at the intersection of the human and Valkyrie delegations, literally between worlds, as the leaders signed the historic accords establishing shared defense, permanent diplomatic channels, and cooperative scientific ventures. She reflected on how much had changed. One act of violence had been intended to drive their species apart. Instead, it had revealed what they could accomplish together. When the formal proceedings concluded, Queen Zivex approached Kelly liaison. "Morgan," she said, "we have decided to establish a permanent joint training facility for our military and diplomatic personnel. You will oversee its development." Kelly bowed deeply. "I am honored, Your Majesty." The Queen continued, "It will be named Nexus Memorial in honor of those lost, but its purpose will be to look forward, not back." As celebrations began throughout the station, Kelly stood with Trizac watching ships from dozens of worlds moving in harmony around their new diplomatic home. "We have much work ahead," she said. Trizac made the Valkyrie gesture of determined agreement. "Yes. But together the path seems clearer. The Meridians sought to exploit our differences, but instead," Kelly finished, "they helped us discover our similarities." The bridge of the Valkyrie flagship vibrated with tension as they dropped out of FTL at the edge of the Proxima system. Kelly gripped the tactical station, her eyes fixed on the holographic display. Before them lay chaos. The small human colony world, Proxima Centauri IV, was under heavy bombardment. 3 Meridian warships hung in orbit, firing methodically at defense installations. The colony shield flickered weakly under the assault scan for survivors. Queen Zivex commanded. Her voice carried the cold fury that Kelly had come to recognize over the past weeks. "The colony shields are at 12% capacity. Trizac reported defense batteries are offline. Population centers are taking direct hits." Kelly felt her heart sink. Proxima IV was home to 8,000 colonists, mostly scientists and terraforming specialists. The settlement was barely 20 years old. "Your Majesty, we need to engage immediately," she urged. "Those are civilian targets." The Queen turned her multifaceted eyes reflecting the tactical displays. They did not expect resistance so soon. "We have surprise advantage." She gestured with her upper arms, and the bridge crew responded immediately. The massive Valkyrie warship moved forward, its weapon systems powering up 2 smaller Valkyrie vessels flanked them, forming an attack wedge. Kelly had studied Valkyrie battle tactics during the journey, but seeing them executed was another experience entirely. The precision and coordination were flawless. The Meridian vessels detected their approach too late. The first Valkyrie strike disabled the engines of one enemy ship before they could raise shields. The second strike cut through their weapons. A ray return fire blazed across space as the remaining Meridian ships responded. Kelly watched the efficiency of the Valkyrie crew as they maneuvered their vessel with impossible grace, avoiding the worst of the enemy. Fire Lieutenant Morgan, tactical analysis, the Queen commanded. Kelly studied the sensor readings. The lead Meridian vessel is their command ship, she reported. It's protected by advanced shielding, but there appears to be a fluctuation in their aft shield grid, possibly from damage sustained earlier. Excellent, the Queen chittered. Our main batteries will target that weakness. The Valkyrie warship turned, presenting its broadest firing arc. A barrage of energy weapons lashed out, striking the Meridian command ship precisely where Kelly had indicated. The enemy shields collapsed, and a secondary explosion tore through their engineering section. The remaining Meridian vessel attempted to flee, but the smaller Valkyrie ships cut off its escape. The battle was over in minutes, a display of Valkyrie military superiority that left Kelly both impressed and unsettled. Your tactics were sound, human, the Queen acknowledged. There is honor in your analysis. Kelly nodded, but her attention had already shifted. We need to send medical teams to the surface. The colonists will need immediate assistance. The Queen made a gesture of agreement. Deploy rescue units, she ordered. Include the human lieutenant. They will respond better to one of their own. Within the hour, Kelly found herself on the surface of Proxima IV. The colony was devastated, buildings reduced to rubble, fires burning unchecked. She led a mixed team of human survivors and Valkyrie medical personnel through the wreckage. A small girl, perhaps 7 years old, sat alone beside a collapsed habitat unit. Kelly approached, slowly kneeling beside her. Hi there. My name is Kelly. I'm here to help. The child looked up, her face streaked with ash and tears. Are you a soldier? Kelly nodded. Yes, I am. But today, I'm here as a rescuer. She glanced at the Valkyrie medical officer hovering nearby. These are my friends. They look different, but they're here to help too. The girl stared at the towering insectoid aliens with wide eyes. They're so big, Kelly smiled. They are, and they're very good at lifting heavy things. Would it be okay if they helped us look for more survivors? Over the next several hours, they established a field hospital. Kelly coordinated between the Valkyrie medical team and the human colonists. Many colonists were initially frightened by their insectoid allies, but desperation overcame fear. Kelly found herself translating not just language but culture, explaining Valkyrie gestures to humans and human emotional responses to the Valkyrie. The improvised cooperation saved dozens of lives that day. As night fell over the damaged colony, Kelly sat exhausted at the edge of the medical camp. The Valkyrie ship hung in orbit, visible as a bright point of light among the stars. Trizak approached, offering a container of water. You honor your uniform, human, he said. Your people respond well to your leadership. Kelly took a grateful sip of water. They respond to hope, Trizak. In crisis, people need to believe survival is possible. The Valkyrie settled beside her, his massive form dwarfing hers. The Queen has received reports from other battles. Our combined forces have repelled Meridian attacks in 7 systems. That's good news, Kelly replied. Trizak made a clicking sound with his mandibles. There is other news. A Meridian command vessel was captured intact. Their communication logs contained plans for a full invasion of both our territories. The station attack was indeed meant to prevent our alliance. Kelly stared up at the stars. We were manipulated, she said softly. 2 powerful species tricked into suspicion when cooperation would have made us stronger. Valkyrie warrior was silent for a moment. Perhaps that is why they feared our alliance, he suggested. Our peoples are different yet complementary. Your adaptability and our strength together would be formidable. A communication alert chimed on Kelly's wrist device. She activated it, and Ambassador Harris appeared, his expression grave. Lieutenant Morgan, your actions have not gone unnoticed, he said. The Joint Chiefs have authorized me to offer you an official position as liaison to the Valkyrie Empire. You would be the first human to serve in such a capacity. Kelly glanced at Trizak, who had respectfully moved away to give her privacy. This is unexpected, sir. The ambassador nodded. The President herself has spoken with Queen Zivex. They agree that this crisis presents an opportunity for unprecedented cooperation. The Queen specifically requested you. After the ambassador signed off, Kelly sat in silence, processing the implications of this new role. Her entire career would change, becoming something no human had experienced before. Trizak returned as if sensing her contemplation. You seem troubled. Human, Kelly shook her head. Not troubled. Just aware that everything is changing very quickly. 3 weeks ago, our species barely tolerated each other. Now we're fighting side by side. The massive Valkyrie settled beside her again. Change is the only constant in the universe, he said, sounding surprisingly philosophical for a warrior. We Valkyrie live much longer than humans I have seen enemies become. Allies many times, but rarely have I seen it happen with such speed and purpose. A medical alert sounded from the camp. They both rose immediately, returning to their duties. The night was long, with more survivors found in the rubble. Kelly worked alongside the Valkyrie medical team, teaching them about human physiology while learning their techniques. Dawn broke over the devastated colony, bringing with it the arrival of Terran relief ships. Kelly watched from a hillside as human and Valkyrie vessels shared orbit around the planet. The impossible had become reality. Ambassador Harris found her there. "Lieutenant," he greeted Ive. "Just come from meeting with the colony governor. He speaks highly of your improvised rescue operation." Kelly nodded. "Sir, the Valkyrie medical teams were instrumental. Their strength allowed us to move debris we couldn't have shifted otherwise." The ambassador studied her. "You understand them now, don't you? Their mindset, their values." "I'm beginning to," Kelly admitted. "They respect strength and duty above all things that humans value too, just expressed differently. Have you considered the liaison position?" Kelly looked out over the colony where Valkyrie and humans worked side by side, clearing rubble and rebuilding. "Yes, sir, I have an I accept." The ambassador smiled. "Good Queen Zyvex will be pleased. She believes you represent the best of humanity."